Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Chapter 1. Down the Rabbit Hole. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversation? So she was considering in her own mind, as well as she could, for the hot day made her feel very sleepy and stupid, whether the pleasure of making a daisy chain would be worth the trouble of getting up and picking the daisies, when suddenly a white rabbit with pink eyes ran close by her. There was nothing so very remarkable in that, nor did Alice think it so very much out of the way to hear the rabbit say to itself, oh dear, I shall be late." When she thought it over afterwards, it occurred to her that she ought to have wondered at this, but at the time it all seemed quite natural. But when the rabbit actually took a watch out of its waistcoat pocket and looked at it, and then hurried on, Alice started to her feet. For it flashed across her mind that she had never before seen a rabbit with either a waistcoat pocket or a watch to take out of it, and burning with curiosity, she ran across the field after it, and fortunately was just in time to see it pop down a large rabbit hole under the hedge.
Yellow glow, it's the sun, but we're having too much fun. A song for my mother and I.
What's up? I'm Red Feather Free. Thank you for tuning in. I'm very grateful to you following your intuition and being guided to this video. I want to wish everyone out there a happy Ishtar or Easter. The video is actually going to make two separate videos today. One about Easter and its true origins, going all the way back into ancient Babylon. All the way back into ancient Babylon here. That's me back in my days as a soldier in ancient Babylon at the town of Nimrud, I believe. The palace is there. Me standing next to the statue of Ashurbanipal. And I was out on a walk just a few minutes ago with my dog, thinking of how to unify the theories of the two videos I was trying to make. That one and the other one being about modern paradigm shifts in physics, quantum physics, and nuclear reactions, and things like cold fusion becoming much more of a reality as opposed to just a pseudoscience, and that the entire model of physics as we have it written right now, especially the nucleic model, the atomic structure model, is needing to be rewritten. So, as I was going through my research, which I've been doing for over 24 hours straight, I was reading about non-Euclidean geometry, and I got down to the very bottom of the page, and one of my favorite authors, Lewis Carroll, who wrote the book Alice in Wonderland, wrote a play called Euclid and His Modern Antagonists, I believe, or his modern adversaries. And it struck me, boom, that's the link. White Rabbit, Easter, the expansion of consciousness, that all is mind, and that our perceptions have been flawed and dominated by a flawed perception of reality for thousands of years, and it's created a neurosis in our society, if you want my personal opinion. Now, Alice asked the White Rabbit in Alice in Wonderland, she says, "How long is forever?" To which the White Rabbit responds, "Sometimes just 1 second." That's the truth, is that an infinite amount of time is contracted into the now. This
Supernova, supernova, supernova.
point, to here, with the infinite past pushing us forward, simultaneously while we're being pulled into a vortex of the future. It's a centrifugal force that is carrying us through time as we spiral through infinity. Now, Alice in Wonderland and the White Rabbit is significant for a number of reasons in the modern holiday of Easter. Comes from the ancient Babylonian holiday where they celebrated the mysteries of Ishtar, and also what would be the equivalent of the eastern wing of the cross of the mysteries, and that's the rising of the sun, or the birth of the zodiac, because it celebrates the house of Aries, and we ride in this house. And we just had the lunar eclipse, which generally we have 2 lunar eclipses every year on the east and the west half of the zodiac. This marks the beginning of the planting in the fertile time of year. It's a time of celebration. All the colors represent all the bulbs of all the new flowers and things like that, but ultimately it's a holiday that goes back down to the mysteries, which have to do with the sacred and theogenic plants, the fungi, the toadstools, the thing that brave young Alice took and was taken into the world of the Red Queen. It's the world where everything is out. That outside is in and inside is out. Just to give you another quote from Alice in Wonderland: "If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't. And contrary-wise, what it is, it wouldn't be, and what it wouldn't be, it would. You see?" I think Carol knew and understood the kind of contradictory nature of the universe. And see, I've been preparing for my own book. I've been writing for the last about 12 days, and I've actually taken about 10 days of that just to go ahead and step aside and start reading and brushing up on all the more modern authors that I needed to get more acquainted with, and theories of things like semantics of language and non-Aristotelian logic. Kierzewski is one, Worf is another. Then I even read some modern shamanic authors, equivalents whose interpretations of the Gnostic Gospels that I don't agree with at all. I think that their interpretation is very hostile to the truth, and it's illogical, but that's a different story. Now, cold fusion is a reality. In 1989, an Italian scientist made a demonstration of a chemical reaction, or not a chemical reaction, but a reaction, an exothermic heat reaction, demonstrating low energy nuclear fusion. And the scientists working with him had been continuing to work and develop this technology over the course of the last couple decades, until Andrea Rossi, who's an entrepreneur and a scientist in his own right and an inventor, came up with this invention in 2011 that he publicly demonstrated, called the ECAT, and he filed for a patent in 2008. And the ECAT, the energy catalyzer, takes nano-sized particles of nickel, and they're about 10 nanomicrons in width or diameter, and he takes this dust and he puts it in a tube, in a metal tube, energizes it, compresses it with an extremely high rate of pressure, and then introduces hydrogen gas and a radio frequency bombarding or trigger, which is basically like an acoustic agitation. He hasn't revealed the entire system yet, but I can tell you a lot about it. And this begins a process of alchemy, literally, where the low energy nuclear reaction takes place, also known as cold fusion, because it doesn't produce the heat that you would imagine necessary to actually have fusion. Because standard physics, the old style, the old paradigm of physics in Coulomb's law stated that the amount of energy, here I'll read to you exactly what Coulomb's law states. And this is out of Theoretical Physics and Mechanics, Constant, 1954, published in London. And it says, the force of repulsion between an alpha particle and a nucleus is an inverse square as given by Coulomb's law. In Coulomb's law, we read, is the law of electrostatics, and so to be repulsive and equal to 2z e squared over r squared in magnitude. And this is describing when a particle is passing in the quote neighborhood of a nucleus. An alpha particle is acted on by a quote unquote central force. He says, we shall assume this force to obey Coulomb's law. Well, Coulomb's law needs to be rewritten, and it is being rewritten, because the old style that Coulomb's law was based off of was an understanding of the vacuum, or the ether, if you will, in a Euclidean sense, almost just like flat planar space. But it's very non-Euclidean in the fact that it's warps. It's hyperbolic or hyperparabolic. That
the whole world is in the vision of Buddhism like music. If you think that the world is going somewhere, that there are certain things that are supposed to happen, and there are certain things that are supposed not to happen, you never see the way it's like music. Music has no destination. We don't play it in order to get somewhere. If that were the way, the best orchestras would be those who got to the end of the piece the fastest. Music is a pattern which we listen to and enjoy as it unfolds. In the same way, where's the water going? Where do the leaves go? Where are the clouds going? They're not going anywhere. Because all nature understands that the point of the whole thing is to be here, to be wide awake to the now that's going on.